would have ever imagined that the year 2020 would bring us epidemic, police brutality, and now civil unrest and rioting on all the major streets throughout the United States? This reminds me of a letter that the Rebbe wrote someone in 1986. Very unique letter, a 3-page letter to an individual, was unique in that time, but more unique is the content of this letter. First, let me give you a little background. This letter was written to Michael Goldhirsch from Australia. He's a successful attorney, and Michael also was a successful real estate investor. One of his properties turned into a great fortune, and he decided to give a sizable sum of money to tzedakah. He brought a check to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And he suggested that the Rebbe build a hospital with this. But it was up to the Rebbe, at his own discretion, what he would do with this money. And the Rebbe's response, it speaks to what we're going through nowadays and ties the two ideas together of what's happening in the United States. The Rebbe speaks about there's two types of medicine. There's therapeutic medicine, which means that if someone's sick, you need to go to a doctor, and the doctor finds the proper therapy for you. Then there's another type of medicine, which is preventative medicine. Could you imagine if you could save all the money on therapies and a person not be sick in the first place, and even more than that, save all the pain, anguish that goes on to a person when he's sick and his family members? That's so much more important. And the Rebbe says, when do we start the preventative medicine? When the child is young. We teach them proper hygiene, we teach them how to brush their teeth, and we make sure that they have the proper vaccines in order to prevent disease. That speaks a lot to what's going on now with the pandemic. We're trying to prevent disease through social distancing and also trying to find a vaccine. The Rebbe continues and says, no less important is having proper mental health and also emotional and spiritual health. And the same way it is important to do it physically at a young age to begin the preventative medicine, same too when we're talking about preventative medicine of emotional and spiritual health. And the Rebbe goes on to say that I would rather use this money, that sizable donation you gave me, on education. And it's no surprise, the Rebbe, who always championed education and pioneered in education, it's no surprise to us that in 1978, the President of the United States, Jimmy Carter, declared the Rebbe's birthday Education Day. And every single year since then, it's been declared Education Day for the United States by all subsequent presidents. Let's go a step further. The Rebbe spoke at his public gatherings. Not only his public gatherings, but sometimes his gatherings would be televised and he'd have a vast audience. And at those gatherings, there were two themes that came up multiple times. One of them was to have a moment of silence in all public schools. You understand, we would think you can't pray in a public school. Well, the Rebbe came up with a great idea. The Rebbe said, we have freedom of religion in this country, but it's not freedom from religion. So we'll come up with this great idea of a moment of silence. The child will be told, now's your moment of silence. He won't know what to do, or he may not know what to do. He'll go home to his parents and ask them, what should I do in that moment of silence? And each parent will advise them about the morals and values and about their religion. You see, this is a way of instilling the young to understand that there's more than what the eye meets, and more than what's profitable to them and what benefits them and gratifies them. There's a God above, an eye that sees, an ear that hears. And this way we will be able to instill in our youth morals and values. We need to take this opportunity to reflect. It's not prisons that is going to solve police brutality. It's not more policemen which is going to stop looters from doing it again in 1 year, 10 years, and 20 years from now. It's the education that we need to give to our children. Let me bless you and all of us together that we should be able to live in peace and tranquility. And like the prophet says, there will be a time that there will be no more war, there will be no more strife. Why? Because then all of humanity will know God. And when we know God, of course, there will be peace and tranquility in the world. May it happen very soon. Amen.